In Hindi, the word Pralayankar translates to catastrophic or devastating. When the Indian Army chooses this exact word for a public military drill, they are sending a very specific warning to their neighbors. The Army avoids the scale of a multinational wargame here, focusing instead on the technical readiness and speed required for a live-fire strike under realistic conditions. At the center of this drill is the BrahMos, a supersonic land attack cruise missile. The Army deploys these weapons from massive, camouflaged mobile carrier vehicles. By avoiding fixed silos, troops can continuously reposition batteries to evade detection. Tying a payload that flies faster than the speed of sound to a truck that can hide in the mountains creates an unpredictable, highly active threat. The adversary never knows exactly where the strike will originate. For decades, border defense focused on the immediate line of contact. Now, India is executing a doctrinal shift toward deep strike operations, building the capacity to hit targets far beyond the border. The goal is to reach subterranean bunkers and heavily fortified structures that standard field artillery cannot scratch. Supersonic speed compresses the enemy's reaction window, tearing through air defense networks before systems achieve a lock. This aggressive, forward-leaning posture is a stark departure for India, a country that has historically favored reactive strategies along its disputed boundaries. When you render an opponent's million-dollar air defense useless purely through speed, you build a massive conventional deterrent. Militaries have to reconsider initiating a conflict if their strongest bunkers are suddenly vulnerable within minutes. We are watching a global transition in how land warfare is organized. The older model, anchored by standard towed artillery, is rapidly being supplemented and in some cases entirely replaced. Militaries are moving into a missile-centric battlefield, relying heavily on long-range guided weapons to dictate the distance and terms of any engagement. India aggressively showcasing these precise land attack variants creates a real, immediate impact on the power dynamics in South and East Asia. It rapidly shrinks the strategic gap between New Delhi and competing regional powers, who have already spent years stockpiling deep strike arsenals of their own. Defense policy experts are tracking this closely. They point to these precise deployments as evidence that India's conventional deterrent is fully maturing. A mature conventional deterrent serves as a heavy geopolitical lever. It allows diplomats to negotiate from a position of strength without ever firing a shot. This operational capacity feeds directly into a major domestic policy goal, Atmanirbhar Bharat, achieving complete self-reliance in the defense sector. The BrahMos is a domestic product, researched, built, and continually upgraded through a joint venture between India and Russia. Producing these systems at home secures the supply chain. The Army knows they can fire these weapons and replace them independently, giving ground commanders the confidence to act decisively. This adds a layer to the escalation ladder. Commanders now have a middle-tier option for rapid, preemptive strikes that doesn't force an immediate reliance on the Air Force or a slide toward nuclear alternatives. Integrating this capability is the next step. The military's ongoing modernization drive focuses on linking these launchers with networked field sensors and complex fire control architectures to pinpoint targets in real time. Achieving self-reliance in precision strike technology removes the vulnerability of foreign arms dependencies. When a crisis breaks out, a military that builds its own missiles never has to wait for international permission to defend itself. But putting this kind of firepower on display carries significant risk. Repeated, high-profile missile demonstrations naturally spike regional tensions. It creates a textbook arms race dynamic. When one nation proves it can reach deep across the border, rival states feel forced to match the threat by lining up equal or larger missile batteries. There's a major economic criticism regarding what it costs to fire a BrahMos compared to what it destroys. Originally designed as a premium system to sink vessels, firing a multi-million-dollar missile at a low-value target, like an empty outpost, is incredibly inefficient. On top of the price tag, fighting a sprawling land war based entirely on missiles requires massive logistical chains and perfect command and control communication just to keep the launchers loaded and moving. The ultimate limitation of a missile-centric military isn't how far the weapons can fly. It is the sheer financial and logistical exhaustion of trying to sustain that volume of fire day after day. Exercise Pralayankar serves as the concrete proof that India is transitioning into a proactive, deep-strike defensive posture. It validates a strategy prioritizing supersonic speed, strike precision, and the security of a domestic supply chain. The next generation of BrahMos conflicts will not be decided solely by the frontline artillery that dominated the last century. The deciding factors will be long-range algorithms and the cruise missiles waiting in the hills.